It's really important for all parents to recognize that the juvenile justice system is not just one system. There are actually lots of different parts to the system, and it's really complicated to understand all of these different parts. But if you experience that your child has been arrested, what might happen is that your child can be issued either a ticket or a summons that will indicate that your child needs to show up to meet with a court officer. And that court officer could be a juvenile probation officer, or it could be actually reporting to your local juvenile or family court, where you have to meet with an official in the court itself. And that starts a process of decision making. One of the first steps in that decision making is making a determination: is it your child needs a lawyer? As a parent, one of the most important things for you to recognize is that regardless of the reason that your child has gotten that ticket or that summons to go to court, is very important for you to have legal representation, or for your child to have legal representation. Because usually at this point, no one knows for sure within the system what the potential path or the consequences might be to your child or to your family through that court summons. A lawyer is the person who has the training and expertise to help guide you through that process. And so it's really important to get an attorney. And then you might have a question: do I have to pay for this myself? Many systems have processes in place for you to identify your need for an attorney, and the resources that you may have to seek out your own attorney, which you would have a right to do. And if you don't have those resources to secure that, all systems have a process of the appointment of an attorney to represent your child as well. And that is a really just a crucial step in starting to navigate what can be a really confusing and a complex system. Then what that can move forward to, there could be some initial decisions among lawyers about how to try to handle and to come up with a resolution without having to go further into the court process. And that's a very common practice. And that's going to involve discussions between your child's lawyer, the lawyer for your local jurisdiction, often called like a prosecutor or a district attorney. And then they might present that to you and your child in terms of what the possibilities might be. And then eventually that might get to a judge, and it would involve potentially some referral to the types of programs or services that may be beneficial to try to ensure that this type of situation doesn't occur again. In other circumstances, depending on the reason why your child was issued that ticket or court summons, it could involve a more allegation that the system is going to recognize as being a more serious behavior. That then could involve some other types of decisions, including setting up the equivalent of a trial in the adult court system. And that's going to be potentially a long, drawn out process and have to involve a lot of preparation and conversations with your child's attorney. In other circumstances, if a child comes into contact with the police and the police do an investigation, the police can make a determination that the child just doesn't get a ticket or just doesn't get a summons to appear in court, but may actually be placed in detention. And that is typically going to be the equivalent of placement in a secure facility. And in most jurisdictions, that can occur for a maximum of 72 hours before you and your child will need to appear before the judge. And then a judge will make a determination if that detention will continue pending the legal process continuing moving forward, or if your child would be released. So there's a lot of different paths, and it can be very, very confusing. And one of the most important steps for you to take as a parent is to ensure that you gain access to an attorney.